Foden is him, bro. I keep hearing all this chatter on the internet, and that's the reality of the situation, right? Foden slander only exists on Twitter.com. It's not real life logic. No one in real life looks at this guy and actually applies the brain dead logic that people on Twitter do. This guy is an absolutely brilliant footballer. He's one of the best in the world. In the season that he's having right now, correctly, he will be nominated for the player of the season. He's probably been Manchester City's standout attacker. And correctly, all the hype that he gets from pundits is well deserved. Now, I understand. When it comes taking away from Saka, I understand why Arsenal fans would be mad. But this whole Saka and Foden thing, I say it every single time it gets brought up. Whenever SDS brings it up, whenever FCM brings it up, Inside Scoop, I'm consistent with it. It's the most boring debate of all time. Because quite simply, guys, they execute different roles on the football pitch. You can appreciate one while appreciating the other. Foden praise doesn't have to come with Saka slander, and Saka praise doesn't have to come with Foden slander. Let's talk about Foden in isolation. Saka, we'll talk about him when he plays. Foden, I'm sorry guys. This is one of those situations that if you're complaining about this guy, or you're trying to be on Twitter running slander on him, it's going to end up with egg on your face. I'm so sorry, it's as simple as that. In a few years, people will be looking back at the guys who are making fun of Phil Foden and saying bench player, and making fun of his numbers, and saying he doesn't score important goals, and laugh at you. Because it's a ridiculous, ridiculous stance to take. The season he's having right now has been so disrespected because of online agendas from the past few seasons. He's been remarkable this year. He's been playing a lot. He's been a consistent starter in this team. When you look at games started for Manchester City this year, he ranks highly for them. And he ranks highly in good performances. And that's even just talking about statistically and performance-wise. Pure inherent talent like that, it's very hard for it to fail. Oftentimes it fails because of outside reasoning. But when a player is coached and developed correctly with that amount of talent, I'm sorry, it's only a matter of time until he eventually blows. And that's what Phil Foden has done this season, bro. He has finally arrived. He has finally arrived and put it all together. And he's putting together a remarkable campaign. It's as simple as that. And look, I said all of that without mentioning Saka. It's very possible, guys. It's very possible. You don't have to bring up one player to bring down another and vice versa. Can't we just appreciate greatness when we see it? I always say that. Especially when you're talking about great players at the top, guys. I always say it comes down to preference. It really comes down to what you like. You can throw all these numbers and statistics around. I don't want to act like statistics are pointless, guys, but statistics are also very circumstantial. Just looking at blanket numbers on a screen, which, by the way, Foden's numbers have always pretty much consistently been pretty solid. People acting like Foden is some aesthetics player who never scores or assists big chances. Foden has created, I think, the most open play chances in Europe this season. So looking at the assists that he produces, like you have to look at this stuff with context, man. No one calls Foden mid, but let's not act now. Let's not be disingenuous and pretend that everyone gives Foden his flowers and everyone correctly analyzes Foden the way he should be. Let's be honest here, huh? It's like the Salah Hazard debate. I rep Salah, but I wouldn't have to mention Hazard. Bro, it's so cringe how now Salah and Hazard are almost intertwined. One can't be brought up without the other, and Saka and Foden. It's such an online kind of argument, bro. Like no one talks like this in real life, or at least they shouldn't. When you talk about great players, look, every player has flaws, unless you're Messi, right? Unless you're Messi or really, Messi is probably the only player I can think of without a technical or physical flaw. And maybe even Messi, it's like saying oh, Messi is so great, but in the air, maybe he's not the best. Like, there's no perfect player. Even at the top, when they're so perfect, someone is going to have a flaw. If you focus so much of your time and energy on pointing players' flaws and their miscomings and what they don't excel at, you're just going to end up denying yourself from appreciating greatness. And the reality is, when that player eventually retires or has a long-standing injury or we don't see him anymore, that's when regret is going to come in. That's when you're going to start wishing to yourself, I wish at the time I kind of put away the petty arguments and the petty banter and really just sat down and appreciated what a great player we're watching. I'll give you this for an example, guys. When Mbappe and Dembele were first breaking through in 2016-17, I was of the opinion that Dembele was a better player than Mbappe. I'll be honest about it. I was team Dembele over team Mbappe. And very quickly, I realized, look, I'm wrong about this. But I could have easily been like, nah, Mbappe, he's some speedster, he's some poacher, he's some PNP player. Imagine I had done that for the next 5 years in Mbappe just to try and prove my Dembele propaganda. I would have looked like the biggest idiot on the planet, because look what Mbappe went on to achieve. At the end of the day, with greatness, with great players like that, just appreciate them, man. Just enjoy them. I've never heard you say a positive thing about Anthony. What's there positive to say? That's not a great player. Do I think Foden could win the Ballon d'Or? I think it'll be difficult for him just because of the players he's up against in this generation. Bellingham, especially at Real Madrid. Mbappe, his own teammate in Erling Haaland. It may be difficult for him, but who knows, man? One spectacular year where he's the main guy at Manchester City, putting up crazy numbers and they win everything. Why not? I wouldn't really bet on it because I think the Ballon d'Or has always kind of tended to have a bias towards goal-scoring players or players who put up incredibly high numbers. But you never know, man. You never know. You say he's the main guy at City this season. I think he is, but still, I think voters would much rather vote for De Bruyne and vote for Haaland at this point. I'm talking like Foden, it has to be universally regarded as his team. I don't think it is yet. I think that's what would stop Foden from winning a Ballon d'Or this year, for example. And that's not me saying Foden should win the Ballon d'Or this year. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying even like if the Ballon d'Or voting was tomorrow, I don't think Foden would win it.